Hello and welcome to Crick Buzz at Stumps on day 2. Why do I have this microphone and not Adam Collins? Because there's no mic drop today. We only got a 50. So hold on. There, you got it back.
We've seen some great fielding through the course of this match so far.
You're as good
I've got the same sort of hands the Australians had yesterday, but I scored a quicker rate. Yes. 2.17 runs per over, the fewest amount of aggressive shots they've played since records have been kept on this particular measure. The slowest they've gone since 1990. It wasn't what we necessarily were expecting from this newfangled Australian team. It's going to be a different world.
You know, I felt like creeping up behind the wicketkeeper and pulling out the masks to see if there were indeed Australian players behind or they just looked like them. But then as I thought over it a little more, I actually started to grow a little more respect, because I've always believed, and I'm just drawing a parallel, that armies must fight with the weapons that they have. And I get the feeling that Australia are not convinced about the weapons that they have, and so they're saying, right, we've only got light machine guns, we don't have cannons. So we'll play like we've got light machine guns. And I'm not sure that's correct, but I think that is how they've chosen to play it, because you saw what Travis Head did once Pat Cummins came on and suddenly he looked like an Aussie batsman.
It doesn't help that they are outgunned, to use your analogy, by the Indian fast bowlers. We talked about it in the UK during August and September. This has to be the best Indian fast bowling lineup of all time, and complemented beautifully by Ashwin that went through the left-handers today of the Australian middle order. It's a lovely balanced attack. That must be some contributing factor as to why Australia can't play like Australians.
Yeah, true. I mean, in the past, India have had Kapil Dev and Karsan Ghavri, but that was a brief period. You had Javagal Srinath and Venkatesh Prasad, but India never really had a third seam who could come from behind them. Now you've got Ishant, you've got Shami, you've got Bumrah, and you've got Ashwin bowling well to close one end up. If something happens to one of them, it's not the end of the world. Umesh Yadav will come in. If the track's doing a little bit, Bhuvneshwar Kumar will come in. If something else happens, there's Mohammad Siraj waiting in the wings, there's Khalil Ahmed waiting in the wings. There's more fast bowling options available. I think it also reflects the personality of the captain. This captain likes pace.
Well, and isn't that exciting? I mean, we can look at various dismissals today from the fast bowlers and the spinners, but the one I wanted to hone in on is Ishant Sharma picking up Tim Paine. What wonderful reverse swing it was. Ishant Sharma is a man pilloried in these parts for the way that he was taken apart the last couple of times he's been here. What a way to fight back, and what skill to bring the ball into Tim Paine, then nicely tail away, find the edge. You got your captain.
We've started seeing this in the last 12 or 18 months from Ishant Sharma, because he was always this big wide in-dipper, and then he started to bowl the ball that holds its length. And this time in England, we even saw a little bit of the outswing. We saw a ball tailing away, and I had a good chat about that with Dizzy Gillespie, with whom we worked a lot at Sussex, and they talked about the virtues of bowling fuller and just getting the ball to nip away. That one that he bowled to Tim Paine, I mean, you could be anybody. You had to play the ball, you had to play the line, and it did just enough. It didn't move that much, just moved enough to take the edge. I thought you were going to talk with the Finch delivery actually, but that was as much Finch's fault as Ishant Sharma's great delivery. But this was excellent.
It was much the same in the way that Ashwin took his wickets. Batsman error in the case of Shaw Marsh, a shambolic dismissal, but the ball to get Usman Khawaja, oh dear, that got me feeling nice and warm inside.
He bowled beautifully. I mean, there's Ravichandran Ashwin has a point to prove here, and Ashwin knows his numbers backwards, and he's come here determined to show that he can bowl well. He wanted to do that in England. In the first test match in Birmingham, he bowled beautifully, and then he got that injury, he was never himself again. But today he did everything that his captain asked and more. In Australia, Ashwin is the stock bowler. But today he was picking up wickets. He did his job. He picked up 3 of the left-handers. But he was getting drift. He was getting a bit of turn. He enjoyed the bounce. I thought this is as well as I've seen Ashwin bowl.
Shami didn't get in the book, but definitely held up and ended an important time either side of lunch, including an injury where he went off the ground for a brief period of time. Jasprit Bumrah, his pace, the way that he was able to cramp up Peter Handscomb and then swing the ball back viciously at Pat Cummins just when he was putting on a bit of a partnership with Travis Head. We haven't seen a bowler quite like him before, especially that sort of pace from an Indian in Australia.
I mean, he walks the first 10 steps. Then he sort of gets into a jog and gets all his pace of the last 4 or 5 steps. Bumrah's the poster boy of Indian fast bowling at the moment. And he was aware he bowled a poor first spell. 5 overs to 24, poor first spell. Maybe he was trying too much. Next 11 overs, he conceded 5. And that's what Bumrah is very good at. Then a wicket with the second new ball. I mean, he'll be a big factor when Australia come out to bat in the morning, because 59 runs, 3 wickets in hand, new ball. India will want Bumrah to go straight up ahead. Shami blows hot, blows cold sometimes. You know, we have a tradition, we call him second inning Shami. So maybe he'll come hard in the second innings. He bowled a couple of great deliveries,
Yeah.
Ball just seemed one way. So you never know with Shami when he'll suddenly get on roll and pick up 2 or 3. But this game is so nicely balanced.
You've been coming to this country and to this city for many years, Harsha. What we do know is that if Travis Head reaches 3 figures on Adelaide Oval or South Australian, he'd be the first man to do it since Greg Blewett in 1995. It'll explode in there.
It will. I hope there's a few more people. There were 25,000 today. But for Travis Head to get to 100, he needs to play aggressively with freedom. He needs Stark and Hazelwood and Nathan Lyon to stay with him. And he needs to bat like he batted in the second half of his innings, not in the first. But he's shown he can play. And I just wonder if the rest of the Australian batsmen are saying, you know what, maybe we're trying to be somebody else. But this is a fantastic contest between bat and ball. I think India is still marginally ahead. If India can lead 25-30 on the first innings and then score 225, they should fancy themselves to take it. But we don't want to run ahead of the script because we want to come back on day 3 and day 4 and maybe day 5.
We certainly do. At the first time of asking, India's highly vaunted pace attack has delivered. Can't wait to bring day three to you tomorrow on Cricket Buzz at Stumps with Adam Collins and Harsha Bhogle.